Turning to the vice president, who do you think is going to be it? Who do you think is going to be the next vice president of the United States, or at least top of the ticket? I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt because I think it's going to be a winning ticket. You know, Donald Trump has said, don't get too into this. You know, it's not going to be that earth-shattering. It's not going to make or break anything. But I know him, and I know he wants to win. And so I know he's looking at everyone quite critically. Who's going to compliment him? Who's going to be the best sidekick, the most loyal player that is going to be by his side? Here he is, maybe a couple months ago, talking with Brett Baer over on Fox News about exactly this issue. Watch.
You said in our town hall that you had an idea, or you might have already decided about your VP pick. When do you think you're going to make that?
Well, it's never really had that much of an effect on an election, which is an amazing thing. Both election and primary, it's never really had much of an effect. I may or may not release something over the next couple of months. There's no rush to that. It won't have any impact at all. The person that I think I like is a very good person, pretty standard. I think people won't be that surprised. But I would say there's probably a 25% chance it would be that person.
Is Senator Tim Scott on the list now?
No, he's a great guy. You know, he endorsed me. There's an example. Nikki comes from South Carolina. Tim Scott is from South Carolina. But if you look, the governor, great governor, another senator, Lindsay, we happen to like Lindsay, but Henry McMaster knows her very well. He endorsed me. It's very hard for a governor to endorse somebody when you have, Henry McMaster was the lieutenant governor under her, and he endorsed me, and he's going to be here tonight. In 15 minutes, you're going to be watching him speak.
So I have a feeling it's not going to be Nikki Haley. Just a little tiny feeling. You don't need much intel to know that. Anyway, there are some names that are coming to the top of the list, and I'm looking at your comments in real time. I know that you guys love Tulsi. That's really interesting. Byron Donalds is another name I'm hearing you say. Sarah Sanders, Audrey Larson offering over on Facebook. Vivek Ramaswamy, Katarina thinks Vivek is in there. I have some intel on that for you. We love Byron. Do we not love Byron? Over here, Byron comes on the show now and then. Drew is good friends with Byron. He loves Byron. We love Byron. He is a terrific guy. And you know what I love about Byron? I love the fact that he actually understands the economy. I mean that. Like, I had a conversation with him on the show, and I was like, wow, you're just blowing me away, because it's very unusual to actually get a representative who understands anything about economics or markets. Like, he has a background in finance. So we love Byron. Tim Scott, still in the running. I don't know as you guys are as enthusiastic on Tim Scott, but, South Carolina is an important state. Marco Rubio, people talk about that. Lars, you're onto something. I think JD, you guys don't know JD that well yet, but I suspect JD is very high up on that list. I mean, I not just suspect, I have intel that suggests it. MTG is not going to be it. Sorry, Rack. She's too too much of a flamethrower. Tucker Carlson, Rick, that's interesting. I'm told Melania likes Tucker very, very much, but Tucker doesn't want it. There's no way Tucker wants it. Trust me. Like, Tucker is very happy doing what Tucker's doing. Tucker has a great business right now and a huge future ahead of him. It's very different. And he said this himself. It's very different commenting on what's going on as opposed to actually being the one who's doing all of it. I suspect Melania likes him because she sees Tucker as somebody who can help protect her husband from the vultures of the media, right? Like, Tucker's like, he rolls up his sleeves. He's like, bring it on, bring it on, bring it on. He has no problem taking any of that on. But whether or not he actually wants to do that as vice president, the other thing that I'm going to point out, and how do I say this? Well, I'll just say it. You know what? Donald Trump's the whole show. Don't kid yourself. He is the whole freaking show. So if you put Vivek up there, or Tucker up there, I mean, we're talking big personalities that also, rightly so, are their own whole shows. That's almost a little too much. After the New Hampshire primary, I think it was after the New Hampshire primary, everybody got up and made a speech or something. And at some point, Donald Trump turns to Vivek. He's like, Vivek, okay, like 60 seconds or whatever. He gave him a time limit. That kind of tells you right then and there. He knows Vivek is like, wound up and is going to go for a while. I think Vivek could actually do wonders in a cabinet position. I would not be surprised if Vivek gets a cabinet position, and he's a smart guy, brilliant guy. I'm always struck by that. I mean, I really am. Like I brought up Byron, I'll bring up Vivek. People that just really understand markets and business. It's probably why I liked Donald Trump so much back in the beginning when I looked at everybody's tax policy and I read them all, believe me. I mean, that's what I do, right? I get excited about things like tax policy. What can I say? I read them all and I'm like, this guy's tax policy is by far the best. And you know why it was the best? Because he understood it. I don't think a lot of politicians with their law degrees, no offense against that, but they don't necessarily understand it. I look at Vivek and I see somebody who understands business. He's sold 2 companies. He's become an enormous success on his own. He represents the greatness really of this country, that you can come here, you can grow up with very little, immigrant parents, and then go on to be a multimillionaire. So he's a great success story, but he's a bit too much personality, I'm suspecting, for Donald Trump. Same thing with Tucker. Kerry Lake, probably the same thing there. Also, he's looking at people that have won races. Doug Burgum, that is a very interesting thing. One of our commenters on YouTube offering up the governor there of North Dakota. North Dakota would be a great state to get. Nobody for Elise Stefanik. Nobody for Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Look, I do think we had one of you saying JD Vance is in the cards. I think that the smart money, a lot of smart money happens to be on JD right now. JD does not suck all the oxygen out of the room, right? So you don't have the Tucker problem or the Vivek problem. And he's really smart. And listen, if you're going to win this election, you're going to win it in the Rust Belt. You're going to win it in those states that JD understands. I mean, think about the hillbilly elegy that he wrote, the book. He grew up in Appalachia. He knows what it's like to be from a family that's so proud to be American, and he knows what's happened to those families. His name may not be as household just yet, but I would watch him very carefully. I do agree with Trump that this is not the be-all, end-all. You just want somebody who can help sort of maybe get you over the finish line. I mean, that's why North Dakota is kind of interesting. It's somebody that we haven't really heard a ton about, but Donald Trump promised you wouldn't have necessarily heard a ton about. I think the problem for Byron, as well as Marco Rubio, and of course, DeSantis is a different animal because the media would have a field day, right? Like if DeSantis were to be the VP, everybody would be like, oh, wait a second, let's play this tape and this tape and this tape and all this criticism that DeSantis had against Donald Trump. That would then be, fodder for the media. So DeSantis probably isn't it, but not just because of that, also because he's from Florida. And it's a little tricky when it comes to those electoral votes. You're actually putting yourself at a disadvantage if you're from the same exact state. And don't forget, Donald Trump is from Florida. Even though, we think New York, he's from Florida. Anybody talking about Elise Stefanik? She's another name. I don't think it would be Elise. And then there's one other name. I know you guys love her. I know you love her. Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Dave, I agree. She would be terrific. She has mass appeal with women. She's been very loyal to Donald Trump. She's very good at her job. I interacted with her when she was press secretary and found her to be extremely competent. Plus, she knows her way around. This is not her first rodeo. Her dad has had a long and very successful career in the political sphere. So I think she would be a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful pick. I mean, they're all great picks. Let's face it. We got a deep bench, which is terrific. But I'm thinking JD at this moment, and anything can happen, and I think Donald Trump likes that sort of keep him guessing aspect of things. I think that JD is up there. I really do. I think, watch him very carefully. More could happen there. Kristi Noem. I know a lot of you guys like Kristi Noem. So Kristi Noem, MJ Cleveland writing him, am I tossing my crown? You're so sweet. Crown. Hey, you know about the pageant background, right? My crown into the ring. Absolutely not. I'm with Tucker. I love what I do, by the way. I love what I do, and I can't imagine doing anything else. I mean that. I mean, I have tremendous respect for people that are willing to go into politics, because it's very easy to sit here on the sidelines and say, well, I do this, I do that. I get it, but when you're actually in the trenches and you're having to fight that battle every single day, and fight the media every single day. Like, that takes real courage. And so I have tremendous respect for them, but I think I'm more valuable. And by the way, I do this because I love it, to be very, very clear. I feel like I'm more valuable over here, kind of looking in and trying to give pointers here and there. Like, guys, no, don't keep printing money. Thank you very much. Please don't keep printing money. You know, if you do keep printing money, we're going to have even worse inflation problems. It's part of the reason why I started 76 Research with my good friend Rob Horton. I've known Rob for years. He's been a superstar Wall Street fund manager for years. And I've always said, listen, you know, if you get the chance, I'd love it if we could do something together, because I want to be able to give people quality research that they deserve and they need in order to help plan out their portfolios for the future. And so sure enough, we've had that opportunity. We're doing it right now. We're at 76research.com. If you have not subscribed to 76, make sure you get over there. Hustle down over to 76research.com. Put your name on the list. At least get the free stuff, because there's tons of ideas to help you understand and navigate these challenging markets right now. How do you invest in an inflationary environment? How do you protect yourself? How do you make sure that your money is still worth more? Well, we have a lot of ideas. And there are 3 different portfolios right now with 10 to 15 stocks in each that you really need to look at. So go over to 76 Research, sign up, click on the button that says model portfolios, and look and find the best one for you. There's one to generate income. There's one to protect against inflation. And there's one to help you with all this growth. I mean, America's experiencing a tremendous renaissance right now. Look at what's going on with AI. Look at the fact that I can do this right here, right now, right? Media landscape changing forever. All of this stuff is going to have a big impact on future earnings for different kinds of companies. You want to make sure that you understand that. So get one of the model portfolios, sign up for 76 Research, get the 76 report. We get a new one coming out tomorrow. So get in just in time in order to get that. But again, I suspect that the vice president is going to be somebody who is extremely competent and can help deliver those critical states for Donald Trump. And then once he or she is in there, is going to work on the policy that matters to people. I mean, that's what we need. Again, you know, I'm a policy junkie, but this stuff is really, really important.